Welcome back, travelers, to the Planeswalker's Tome, your portal to the realms of Magic the Gathering. Whether you're joining us on YouTube or through our podcast, we're thrilled to have you along for the journey. Now let us resume our exploration of The Eternal Ice by Jeff Grubb. Chapter 18, Nicer Mammoths. With the casting of her Great World spell, Freyalise brought the Ice Age to a close. With one massive expenditure of her power, she shattered the icy shackles that clung to the world, and kept all life from being frozen and crushed beneath the glaciers. With her task complete, the legend states she left to pursue her own destiny elsewhere. Whatever debt she owed to Tezier was paid, and though her name has been venerated from that day to this, and she had walked other domains in Dominaria, she has never returned to this land. But of course it was not the end. It never was, and it never can be, as long as someone is alive to tell the tale. Arkle, Argivian scholar. So said Freyalise. I am listening. For Yaya, it was as if the world had slipped a cog. One moment they were standing, unable to move, watching as Freyalise spoke into their heads as she glowed like a star. Then there was a massive radiance that washed over them, that seemed to permeate them. The pair of them were still in the rim of the bowl-shaped crater, but the Planeswalker was standing there in front of them. Behind her, the various worshippers, in their white and green robes, were slowly picking themselves up off the ground. Many were crying tears of joy. Some were not moving at all. Yaya looked at Jodah. The last thing she remembered was that he was angry, but now he just looked sad. He started to talk. Do you know? Then he paused, and the universe seemed to fill with silence. Do you know what you have done? I know what you helped me do, she said calmly. I have merged the universes back together. I have freed myself of this toilsome shard. What you have done is allowed me to do it without destroying Tezier. Without destroying it, Jodah said hotly. You have no idea how much destruction you have just wrought. The world is to be free of the ice, said Freyalise. The world is to return to the climate it knew before the time of the brothers. We have shown it its true face. The climate that it knew, repeated Jodah. Has it occurred to you that while the world may have remembered a more temperate time, almost all the people now living never did? Freyalise tossed her head back to rebuke Jodah's statement, but instead she closed her mouth and thought about it. You didn't, did you? Said Jodah. A return to the weather before the ice means that the glaciers will melt. Where will they go? The shorelines will rise. What happens to the coastal towns? The lands will shift. What happens to those who lived on them? Freyalise said nothing, and Jodah continued. The people who live here are used to the way things are. You've destroyed their world as assuredly as if you detonated another devastation. All I have done is cushion the blow, and then only slightly. Men and women will still die. Nations will flood or become desert. Did you think of any of this before you executed your plan? Yaya raised her eyebrows in surprise and a little fear. Surely Jodah would not yell at a planeswalker and get away with it. But Freyalise stood there, impassive. Her hands folded in front of her and listened. You didn't, did you? Repeated Jodah. You saw your chance to rejoin with the greater universes and you took it. Saving your precious followers and the rest of the world was an afterthought, if that. And then you had to drag us into helping. I did not demand your help, Freyalise started. You just put us in a position of helping you, or of course being destroyed ourselves, finished Yaya. Is that how you justify such things as a planeswalker? Would it have been my free will if I had chosen to let everyone perish? Freyalise nodded slightly. You have some truth in your words, but you must understand. I meant no harm. You see, only a fraction of the world I truly live in. Can you see how daunting and glorious it is? I see how powerful you truly are, said Jodah, trying now to control his anger, and I am truly amazed at how you failed to use that power to any good end. You planeswalkers set yourself up as pocket gods, or dark lords like Leshrac. Yet you are as limited as the meanest and loneliest mortal, filled with your own vindictiveness, pettiness, and peevish desires. Freyalise took a deep breath, and overhead the low clouds rumbled in a smattering of thunder. Yaya put a hand on Jodah's shoulder in warning. Meant no harm, questioned Jodah, his voice softening, shaking his head. You are so powerful you cannot help but to cause harm. It is like sleeping with a mammoth. It may be a nice mammoth, but it's still a mammoth, and when it turns over in its sleep, you'd be best prepared to move out of the way fast. Only when you understand that, understand how truly dangerous you are, will you be worth the divinity you claim. Jodah took a deep breath and let it out, and he stared at the planeswalker. Freyalise's look returned, mirrored in her eyes. Are you finished? Jodah sighed. Yes. Were you listening? I promised I would listen, said Freyalise, bristling, and I will not punish you regardless of how petty and peevish I might feel. She bit off the words with relish. Now, I have one last bit of business. She raised her hand and twisted her wrist. Jodah's mirror appeared in her hand. I return this to you as promised, she said darkly, though I give it to you with this warning. All magic has changed, and the world has changed greatly now. Think twice before you use your magical toy again. Jodah took the mirror, turning it over in his hands, as if to determine if it was truly his. Freyalise continued. Now I take my leave, and I swear to you, Archmage Eternal, that if I ever return to this miserable world, I will stay as far away as possible from you." With that, she took a step back, and then added, "I did mean well, and I want you to know, as well as I could with the powers I had. I hope that you and yours do better in the future." And with that, she was gone, a sunbeam that evaporated and dissipated through the crater. The sky above rumbled deeply again to herald her departure, and the worshippers looked skyward, their faces beaming in delight. "Nice going, Lord Diplomat Eternal," said Yaya, taking her hand off his shoulder. "You don't understand," said Yaya. "I don't think anyone can understand. I saw the power. I felt it. I can see how men have gone mad searching for it. But to use it as they do," he shook his head. "I understand better than you think," said Yaya. "Think about her parting shot. You are going to have to do better." Jodah looked at the task mage. He shook her head, smiling. "The Shrek has gone to his rogue plane," she said, "and Freyli's to her own wanderings. If you were a petty planeswalker, wouldn't you want to get away from here as fast as possible, to get out into the greater world?" Jodah thought about it and nodded. "So all the planeswalkers are leaving Tensier. All of them. Who are the most powerful figures left in the world?" Jodah's shoulders slumped as he felt the weight of the world descend on them. "Wizards," he said at last. "Men, like Marisil or Limdul." "Or you," said Yaya. "That's what she means. The big mammoths are gone. Long live the new mammoths. Now you just have to be a nicer form of mammoth." Jodah looked at Yaya. Finally he smiled. "A nicer form of mammoth," he said, and laughed. "A bit of a challenge." "Ask for no small task," said Yaya. Overhead, the leaden clouds finally let loose a torrent of warm, salty rain, like the tears of the goddess. Freyli's worshippers danced in the crater, splashing in the welcome rain. Jodah and Yaya left them to their celebration, and went searching for safe shelter in the transformed world. This concludes Chapter 18 of our saga. If you enjoyed the tale so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, may adventures be as boundless as the plains themselves. Thank you for listening.